So EDB contributed over 30 patches to Postgres 18, and we've had more people contribute patches to the Postgres 18 release than for any other Postgres release in EDB's history. And we thought that would be a great time to talk to some of our patch authors and just sort of like dig into the release, what goes into a release, that maybe spans multiple years. In the case of the OAuth patch, we wanted to figure out how folks working on open source stay motivated, how they manage their time. And to that reason, we've invited Jacob Champion and Kashif Zeeshan for this episode. So let's dig in.
I'm Jacob Champion. I've been working on Postgres since Greenplum in 2017, and then switching over to kind of Postgres upstream full-time sometime around 2020. So 5 or 8 years, depending on how you count it, I guess. And I've ended up doing a bunch of kind of security-related, security tangential work for the project and the protocol.
Yeah, so I'm Kashif Zeeshan. I'm working on Postgres from back in 2011. So it's almost now, I think, 14 years now. So mostly I worked on the DB server side of things and DB server features and all the different utilities and tools related to that. So that is my core area. So my basically expertise are in software testing, automated testing. So I basically work on that.
And hi, I'm Floor. I live in the Netherlands. I'm a principal program manager here at EDB. I work closely with and within the open source community since forever. Started in the Ruby on Rails community. I'm on the Postgres Code of Conduct committee. I'm on the Postgres Europe Diversity committee. I help organize a ton of Postgres events, and I'm very involved in the DevOps community as well. All right, let's get started talking about OAuth. Maybe first, Jacob, you can tell me a little bit about the feature and what it means for Postgres, and maybe weave in why you wanted to work on it in the first place.
Yeah, so I guess back in 2020, I had been fed up for the last time with somebody complaining about the performance of LDAP sync scripts for a more centralized authentication system, right? Because once you get to like thousands of people, you really don't want to have to sync a separate password for every single one of those people across every single one of your Postgres databases. And so people have kind of built up these gigantic tottering towers of things to do that for them using what is available in 17 and before, which is either LDAP or Kerberos. And to be frank, I don't like either of those options. So I started work on a third, which is the federated authentication that OAuth gives you. I started with a really quick proof of concept, just to show, hey, yeah, you can log into something like Okta using this, and that it just kind of grew from there. But really, it just started with a really deep dislike for the current centralized authentication options that were available at the time.
I hear you. And I do think, and we heard it in previous recordings for this series as well, that it often starts with an itch or like a real frustration that you just want to solve. All right. Very cool. And then I know that it took, I want to say forever to develop, but it's probably not as dramatic as forever. And also in our conversations ahead of this recording, you mentioned a 4-year mega thread on the mailing list. So how do you do that, working on something for several years?
Well, breaks are crucial. I think sometimes people look at the 4-year thread and think that I must have been just, staring at that for 4 years straight. But like between the first round of drafts and my second major follow-up, I think it was just a 9-month gap, right? Like I put something out there and I was happy. I think I rage coded on it for like 2 months. And I put it out there, and I think Mikael Paquier and Heikki Lenakangas were like, hey, that's kind of cool. And that was kind of it for like 9 months. And so frankly, I wasn't really sure for a long time, is this going to get legs or not? I was happy to have done the proof of concept. You know, it's not like I'd poured enough of my soul into that point to feel super disappointed if it didn't get in. It was just like, this is an option. It then came back up. Samay Sharma had done some work on the list with like pluggable authentication methods. And I looked at that and I went, oh, like I'm working on something that could work with that. And so I ported my stuff on top of that patch set, right? And that kind of reignited the thread a little bit of, hey, there are enough people now looking at this that I should probably start working on it more seriously. And so I think another 3 or 6 month period passed before the next major round. But each time, the periods of time between updates got a little shorter, and the number of people interested in talking to me about it off list grew. And so it was easier for me to say, okay, this has momentum now, let's get going. And so I worked on that, you know, over 3 separate employers over a 4-year period. And eventually, with the help of several reviewers, several committers on and off list, we got it in.
Yeah, super interesting. I think as a follow-up question I had, but I will now, throw that in the bin, is like, how do you break up the work in more manageable chunks? But it sounds like you can't even do that because you're sort of depending on who jumps on your, on your bandwagon, or on whose bandwagon can you jump on,
Yeah, that's definitely true. Because when you're trying to build a coalition, and if you're trying to build momentum, you kind of have to like sway with the ship a little bit, right? Like, because the people that are coming in, they're going to have their particular interest. And so you have to decide, like, is this an interest that I want to take on into this project? Do I agree with it? Is there a compromise to be made here? Do I want to say, I don't want to tackle that for V1, but thank you for your interest? Do I want to say, you know what, I'm going to adapt what I have to meet that because I think it's important? There was a little bit of that kind of at the midpoint where I was having to say, I won't work on that. I won't stop anybody else from working on it, but I'm not excited about that. But I am excited about this other thing that I think would help you in the same sort of way. And so, yes, if you take kind of the long-term view of, I want this to be a community project and not just my personal pet project, you can't necessarily decide at every moment what you are going to be focused on next, because somebody could put something in that kind of derails you for a little bit while you're trying to figure out, how am I going to respond to this piece of feedback? What are we going to do about it?
Yeah, and I'd be interested in, because you're working on when you're working on open source software, you work on a completely different timeline. You can't really predict it, is what I'm taking from what you just answered as well. Other than there is going to be one major release in, every year. That is like about the only thing that you can predict. And some of the steps, of course, they go into the development of Postgres, like, when does commit fest start, that kind of stuff. But, how do you but at the same time you work for a company that also has commercial products, and your colleagues are on a very different and more predictable timeline. How does that how does that feel, I guess?
I mean, luckily I think EDB is used to this enough that it's less of a culture clash. But I have absolutely worked at places before where it'd be like, oh, well, when do you think you're going to have that in? It's like, that's what do you mean? Like, that's not how this works. Like, I don't get anything, and other people are gonna take what I've created and decide whether it gets in. But I think we're like 2 years out, and at that point, people would just kind of give you this dumbfounded look of, what? What do you mean you're 2 years out? Like, what are you talking about? Here at EDB, it's a lot easier because that sort of thing is, expected. We understand how the community works, but it helps to be able to put the long-term projects down, contribute to a mixture of things so that you can have a quick win every so often. Because when you're 2 years into a 4-year project and like you're starting to see all the flaws of your original proof of concept, and it really helps to get a quick win in, and just kind of get that. Yes, I did something. I accomplished something from beginning to end in a month, and hooray! So that you can kind of rebuild the energy of getting back into the 4-year project. But it is definitely a communication challenge to set expectations in terms of a software project that you do not own in any way. Like, it's not mine. It's not any other one individual's. You have to convince a group of people to maintain this thing in perpetuity, which is a very different thing from, I think, a lot of the ways that people are used to thinking about software.
Kashif, I want to turn the conversation to you a little bit because you're mostly involved with testing features. So when work starts on a Postgres release, when does your work basically start? And what are some of the features that you worked on for PG18 except for testing the OAuth patch?
So as far as testing is concerned, our work starts whenever basically we got basically a working patch. All right. So the patch can be a complete implementation of the feature or some set of the feature. So I take that patch and start the testing of all the available feature in that patch and report all the issues. So I basically coordinate with the author and anybody else that's working on the project, and report all the issues to them. And once the new patch arrive with more set of features or bug fixes, then I basically repeat that task as well. So initially testing, which I do on the patches, is basically any feature is at sort of a manual testing. At that time, we don't have any test automation from QA side of things. A developer did basically include a basic set of test cases there. So when I am testing, I basically also adding my test coverage, automated test coverage there, so that whenever a new set of features comes or new patch is provided with bug fixes, so I do a quick regression with the existing testing functionality to make sure that nothing is broken due to those changes. So that's how it works.
Yeah, and I imagine that, like communication in your role is also incredibly important because, as I hear it, someone is rage coding on something for 2-3 months, and then, like someone looks at it and has a lot of comments on it. I'm guessing there is a subtly that you need to act subtly with their baby.
Yeah, exactly. Testing people are a bit, it's at times it is difficult to deal with developers. Some developers don't take easily to the criticism on their baby. So it's basically a tough job. A QA guy has to basically communicate regularly with the developer and the other tester that working on the project. So you have to have good communication skills, problem solving skills. Sometimes you have to basically be patient. So understand the point of view of the other guy as well. So for PG18, I work on OAuth feature with Jacob, and I'm really happy because I have disturbed him during Christmas holidays, and he helped me out there a lot. So thank you, Jacob.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for the testing work you were doing. The great thing about being able to have somebody that you can ask, hey, how's it working for you, is that at the end of a 4-year long project, I've gone snowblind to several things, that exist that I can't even see them anymore. Like one major thing was, Kashif found that if you spent too long logging in right? It would time out and fail, and you'd have to start over. But if you didn't have the ability to log in in that 2-minute timeout, you would just never be able to log in, right? There was a major architecture flaw in what I'd done. And over 4 years, I just gotten so practiced at the OAuth, browser flow that I could do it in seconds, right? It was just like, yep, I've done this billions of times now. But we actually kind of had to do a last minute refactor to fix that. And those are the things that just were not on my radar at all, having worked on it for so long. So yes, thank you so much for your testing help. It was amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, so that was my job to basically break the thing to make sure that there are some issues and reported. But it was a very good experience because in my stay at EDB, so I worked on all three variants on EPAS, PG, and PGE. So I mostly work on new technologies, new tools. If there is a challenging project and new technology, so I love that because there are a lot of things to learn, and it's sort of basically feel goods to do such stuff.
That sounds really good. I feel sort of obliged to say that, at EDB, we don't necessarily disturb people during their Christmas holidays. as a disclaimer,
Actually, I requested Jacob that I may face some problems because OAuth configuration of OAuth was not easy. There are a lot of things in that I need help from Jacob, and because I requested him that if it's possible for him to help me out, so that I was not on leave in those days. So he helped out and he replied, and due to his help, I was able to basically complete that configuration setup very quickly. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I bet there is a lot of back and forth necessary between you and the patch author just to understand why, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes QA guys or testing guys are at times felt intrusive, but that's our job.
Yeah, fair enough. And this is a question is maybe for the both of you. What are the other projects that you were involved in for this 18 release as a patch reviewer or otherwise as a tester? Yeah.
Postgres is actually having its first optional protocol bump in years. We've been stuck at 3.0 for a long time. 3.2 is on its way in 18. Which from my perspective is more kind of a greasing the gears and trying to put a canary out there to see like, hey, what breaks, what's gonna be problematic if we start revving this engine more often than just having a 3.0 sit in perpetuity without any protocol changes. So I'm cautiously optimistic about that. I did a little bit of review work for that. That's the one I can think of at the moment.
So at my end, for PG18, I worked on OAuth feature. So far, I have tested two data validators, two validators for that. One is for Azure and second was Keycloak server. Apart from that, on Postgres extended, I'm currently testing the password profile feature. That is a major feature there. And on EPAS server side of things, I worked on multiple Oracle compatibility features, and there are some features for ECPG as well.
And also looking at the release, what are some of the features or fixes that you're looking forward to that you didn't necessarily work on, but you've seen them, you've read about them on the mailing list. They've been long coming, and you're curious about them.
So we've got more database-friendly UUIDs coming. UUID 7s are on the way. That's exciting. People have been kind of, complaining about the various UUID-related things for a while. Async IO was huge. Like I wasn't involved in any way in that other than just reading along and going, wow, this is a lot of work, but just I'm excited to see where the async engine goes, just because it's a lot of very new, very exciting tech that I think is going to speed things up quite a bit. Maybe outside of just the core like buffer engine and into the network stuff, I think that would be awesome too. But that's just kind of speculation. They're the virtual generated columns are kind of nice. I like those. Just from a kind of an application viewpoint of having the pushing stuff down into the database that it can do for you, as opposed to trying to do those sort of virtual things in application code is quite nice. There's some off the top of my head I can think of.
Yeah, so at my end, I on Postgres 18, I just work on OAuth, so I'm looking forward to it and how many validators will be added in the future. For now, there are two. So, man, apart from that, I didn't about any other feature for now on Postgres 18, but hopefully in next coming months.
Yeah, because I learned that work for the next version, as in Postgres 19, starts in July. I had no idea, because that feels weird because it's months before 18 even comes out. But apparently work has already started. So what is in store for Postgres 19 for the both of you? What are you looking to work on, if you have any ideas already?
There are definite things that I had to leave out of the V1 OAuth patch set that I'm hoping to get addressed in a V2. Things like, caching. Caching is a big one. People are going to be like, wait, I already logged into this. Why do I have to log in again? So getting caching working securely is a big goal of mine for 19.
For a version 2 of anything. So I don't know how to ask this question, but you just run out of time to add more stuff, or you're just like, I want to get something in this time to make sure that I can get more in next time, because there is now sort of like the foundation has been laid out. Is that how that works? Or is that an oversimplification of things, which is fine? Yeah.
No, that is really how it works. And in fact, I forget the author who said, it's not done when there's nothing left to add. It's done when there's nothing left to take away. And I think especially for open source work where you have shared maintainership and you're trusting other people to help pick up the slack if you get hit by a bus, you really have to pare down from your ideal, it's all perfect, to what is the minimum thing that will help move this area forward. Like just having the bones of a federated authentication engine means that even though I wasn't able to get it batteries fully included for 18, like I really wanted it to, other people are now able to take it, work on it, code against it, and provide feedback so that when 19 comes around, hopefully it's easier for us to make the changes that help people get the work done that they want to do, as opposed to me baking it all in at first and then realizing, well, half of it isn't useful for people because it doesn't solve the problem that they want to solve. Paring things down was a long process, talking to other people, other communities, like, I think we should get rid of this part. I think we shouldn't worry about this yet. Let's focus on what's there. That was very important to be able to cut those parts out of the draft.
When are you having that conversation too? When are you starting to feel the heat? Like we need to make it an MVP so that this gets in this time around. When in the year do you start feeling that?
I started on this in was it PG-15 timeframe, PG-14? And I think I had a conversation with Peter Eisentraut before PG-17, where I was like, I think we might be able to make it for 17. And that was never going to happen in hindsight. But, that was the point at which I was seriously sitting down with people saying, what of the things that don't exist are okay to not exist when they land, right? Like, it doesn't have this. Is that okay? And people would either nod or shake their heads, right? And so that was a full year before 17 where I started asking those questions. So for something this big, yeah, I think that's probably a decent timeline.
Kashif, what about you? When does did your work for 19 already start? Did you find projects that you want to, like caught your eye already that you were looking forward to working on?
Yeah, not yet, because I'm working on currently the features for version 18. So hopefully in next coming months. But mostly I'm looking forward for the new set of features for OAuth and different validated modules. Like while testing the OAuth feature, and I have basically listed down a standard set of OAuth features which are normally supported. So I had a discussion with Jacob. So we support a lot of them, but there will be some which will be going to be part of that in the future. So I'm looking forward to it. And personally, I love to work on if there is some AI related features in PG18. If they add some support for that, so I will going for that as well. Apart from that, I also at times I spend some time on the threads. If there are queries, I help with that. I'm not able to get a lot of time in last few months, but I try to provide help to different people. So that's all from us.
Do you mean when people are now trying out the release candidates or the beta release, if they're trying it out, is that where you're helping people with?
That's part of testing, but there are different email threads and Postgres community, right? People have different sort of problems or their questions. So I go through them, and if I see some on which I can provide them help, so I do that.
Sure. Everybody needs a hobby. That's very nice of you. Thank you, I guess. Jacob, did you find the feature that you're looking forward to?
I did. I'm going to try to work on protocol compression a little bit for the 19 cycle. It seems like one of those things that everybody wants on some level. Just it would be a pretty easy win if you could compress the data coming over the socket. It immediately kind of runs into security concerns. So the question is, like, I've complained about some of the proposals in the past, so I think it's time for me to pony up some code and see if I can solve some of the security issues that would be underlying the protocol compression. I'm also working on adding some, what I hope will be easier testing harnesses to the project. So Python-based stuff, so that it's a little bit easier for people to write the tests that they want to test for their new features. But all of that is very much early stages.
Yeah, testing, that will be a challenge. Not only testing, but also to basically add test cases there. These are difficult things to test.
I imagine you two will have good conversations about this.
I hope so. He will include me in next project.